All right. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining the network meeting for the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection. My name is Erin Eggert, and I'm the Deputy Director here at the Wisconsin Institute for Healthy Aging. I am facilitating today for Suzanne, who is away at a training. So today we are just going to do some brief introductions. If you could use the chat box, please, and just say your name, what organization you're from, and then just a little icebreaker here. What is your favorite hidden gem in your community? So say what your community is too, so we can all know the best places to stop by as we're traveling across the state. Give people just a few minutes to get that into the chat here. Angie Sullivan from Rock County. She says Cone Zone. Ooh, an ice cream spot. Karen Katz from the Wisconsin Office of Children's Mental Health. Favorite gem in Madison, Lakeshore Path and Picnic Point. Christine Schultz from TMG in Wauwatosa. There is a trail along the Menominee River Parkway. Kate Giblin from the ADRC of Portage County. A Tomorrow River Bike Trail. I'm seeing a lot of parks and trails. Welcome, everyone. Linda Spitzer, Amanda Kavam, Helen Sampson. Great. These are coming in quickly, faster than I can read, so I'll let everyone browse through there at your own kind of see what spots we should all stop at across the state. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Our agenda for today is we will be having two guest presenters. So Krista is an assistant director of Opening Minds to Art Scripps Gerontology Center from Miami University. So she'll be doing a presentation for us on their Scripps Avid, I hope I pronounced that correct, program there. And then we'll have Kate Giblin, who is the Senior Center Manager at the ADRC of Portage County, talk about their senior prom as well. And at the end of the webinar today, we'll go through a couple coalition updates and talk about our new website. So Krista, I will turn it over to you and you can do a brief introduction and go ahead and get started. I'll be running the slides, so just let me know when you'd like me to go to the next slide.
Oh, perfect. I didn't realize that. Thank you. Hello. So I am Krista Peterson. Like it says, I'm the Assistant Director of OMA, Opening Minds Through Art at Scripps Gerontology Center at Miami University. I don't know if you know of OMA. I'd love to hear that. You can put it in the chat, or if you're a facilitator, that's always exciting to hear. But OMA was developed in 2007 at the center as a thesis project. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of what OMA is to kind of really get you more familiar of where Scripps Avid came from, and then dive into that. But I have the chat pulled up, but I'm really bad at multitasking, so feel free to interrupt me at any point if you want to just jump in with questions, or at the end. You can go ahead to the next one. So like I mentioned, what is OMA? So again, it stands for Opening Minds Through Art. I'm going to close all my screens. Oops. Okay, next slide, please. Opening Minds Through Art. It was developed basically taking typical arts and crafts activities within a long-term care community. So our founder is Indonesian and grew up in Indonesia, and really hadn't been in a ton of nursing homes in the United States when she started her gerontology master's project. And she comes with a PhD in education prior, and then a bachelor's in art. So she wanted to kind of marry the two. And then she kind of walked in and saw these projects. And unfortunately for people living with dementia, these aren't really great projects for them. One, they typically remind us of preschool type activities, like things that I would expect my young kids to bring home from school, but also they're very difficult to do. So we're kind of breaking down that stigma of things that are easy to do or simple to comprehend and understand. Take this jack-o'-lantern, for instance, to have the dexterity control to be able to place the eyes in the sequence where they need to go, to remember where the eyes go, the mouth and the nose, and there's just so much to it. The coloring page, it's not completed, things like that. So what happens with these art projects is people end up failing in some way, or we use elder speak. Oh, honey, you did so good. You're so cute. Your jack-o'-lantern's grumpy, or whatever it may be. And so it causes people to disengage from activities even more. And as we know, dementia can be a very self-isolating disease as it progresses too. So now you have somebody who no longer wants to come to activities, no longer wants to try in art projects. So OMA wants to kind of flip the script on that. Next slide, please. So what it is, our mission is to build bridges across age and cognitive barriers through art. At its core, we are an intergenerational art program. So because we're based out of Miami University, of course, we use Miami students. The students are paired with people living with dementia in long-term care communities all across Oxford or Cincinnati, Ohio. And it's very much a service learning program for those students. So they learn about aging, they learn about the program, how to help facilitate the creative process, and they learn about dementia, of course. And we're working on breaking down those stigmas of being afraid of nursing homes, being afraid of people living with dementia, and increase a likeness of older adults and people living with dementia at the same time. Like I mentioned, 2007 at Scripps Gerontology Center. And since its development, it has been replicated in over 200 locations. And we have a facilitator training program. And there's over 1,000 facilitators of the program across the United States, Canada, and Indonesia. So if you're interested in in-person art programming, specifically OMA, I'd love to talk to you about that as well. There is a training program where you learn, we basically give you the book and teach you all about it so that you can bring the programming to wherever you are. And we help you with the volunteer training and where to recruit volunteers, things like that. Next slide, please. So these are just a few examples of OMA art. So it's all based off of abstract modern art. Like I mentioned earlier, we really want things to be simple but complex. So here, we give step-by-step instructions, choices built into every project, and every project is different every week. And typically it's a 6 to 8 week program where your volunteers come once a week, say Wednesdays at 2 p.m., and they sit with the same, we call them our artists or people living with dementia, same artist every week. So they're helping facilitate the creative process, but not touching the art. So all the art you see is created by people living with dementia. You can go to the next slide. We've just got a few examples of artwork here. Even if I were to give 2 people or a whole room, which we do, the same project, you never end up with 2 similar pieces because color varies, the way they use the tools varies, the texture, the style, the way they express themselves through the art is all different all the time. Next slide, please. We use Art Talk to really help the artists feel like they are doing something worthwhile. A lot of times abstract art is hard, even for us or for people who consider themselves artists. A lot of times we get, oh, it's just a mess. But then we talk about, oh, I love the contrast of the pink with the yellow and the way it feels like we're swooping across the page and the bright yellow popping out at us. And, we kind of talk about the beautiful aspects of the painting. And all of a sudden people are like, oh, wow, I did do that. I am an artist. We mat and frame all the pieces. I think there's one more piece. You can go to the next slide. And then we host an art show. And the art show is the same thing. We're celebrating the creativity of the artist. Very much we're an art program, but at the core of what we're doing is building relationships. So really what we care about is the conversations between the artist and the volunteer and the relationship that they build. And then the art show is to commemorate kind of all of it, celebrate the relationship built, but also the beautiful pieces of art. I don't have pictures of an art show today, but it's very much a gallery style. We frame and mat things. Everyone gets name tags and corsages, and we celebrate with wine and food. And it's not only for just the volunteers and the artists, but then family members and friends and your outward community, things like that. Next slide, please. So that's a very quick rundown of what OMA is. I could just tell you about OMA in an hour. So again, if you have questions about either of the programmings, please feel free to reach out to me. But then obviously we know that COVID happened and we were an in-person program in nursing homes, and 2020 that came to a screeching halt, but we still had students signing up for classes. So we had to figure out how we still engage them with the older adult population. This is where we really see a shift in specifically people living with dementia, and more now it's just an intergenerational, trying to get students with older adults to have relationships and build connections with each other. Next slide, please. So it started with students signed up for a course. I think it was Gerontology 110 at Miami. And we joined in Zoom, and we would teach them about, say this week was poetry. So we would give them 3 different ways to engage with poetry and creating projects based off of that. So maybe one is writing a poem, another is reading a poem, and the third one is name poems or something. So we would go through those 3 different projects, ways to manipulate them and use them, and then they would go into a breakout room with an older adult. So typically it was 3 students with 1 older adult. They would pick one of those projects for the topic, so poetry, say they wanted to write a poem, an original poem, and then they would work with their older adult for the next hour creating a piece of artwork. And then the whole semester was broken up into different modules: visual art, music, story writing, poetry, things like that. And really what blew us away at the end of the semester is the impact magnitude on students' attitudes were the same. They were growing, they were enjoying meeting older adults and engaging with them, and they were having a likeness of older adults by doing it virtually. For people that were very much in person, we thought, oh, we're just going to do this for a minute until we can get back in person, and then we'll go full back into communities. And really what we ended up finding out is we can do it both ways, and it was really beautiful. Next slide, please.
I'll pause just because there's a lot of comments about how
Okay.
amazing this is, but there is one question specifically. Did you run into difficulty with technology?
Thank you. Yes. So not so much. I mean, so right here at the base was mostly just making sure that the older adults could use Zoom. And again, because we were just kind of like jumping into this, like everybody else, we had no idea what to expect. A lot of our older adults were friends of ours. So Lika, or Dr. Lokan, is the founder of the program. For example, her mom participated. The older adult in the bottom right-hand corner here, her name is Mickey, and she's been with us for years, kind of engaging in volunteering. So we were able to coach. This is a very small subset of people at this point, so we were able to support them through the technology. But I will get into tech with Scripps Avid as well here. So then, because we were having such a great experience with virtual OMA using Zoom, we thought, okay, we've got something here. Let's keep it going. So we developed our own web-based platform called Scripps Avid, arts-based, virtual, intergenerational, and dementia-friendly. Next slide, please. It is completely free to use. And what happens is you sign up, and then once you're signed up, you get matched with someone from a different generation. And the goal is about 1 hour weekly meetings. So really it's fairly flexible. Both sides can choose their own schedule. They can make their own schedule. But then we, of course, again, have students participating as part of a class. So they have kind of more of a rigorous expectation, like they have to meet once a week for 8 weeks or something. But just general population can still sign up, free to use, and they can kind of set their own schedule once matched. So you can kind of see a small, and I'll show you in a minute what it looks like more, but You can see the page, the older adult is on the screen, and then to the right of that are different activities or categories. And there are over 70 arts-based prompts. It's kind of the same idea as OMA. We wanted to use art as the way to build connections, and we call that the connectivity triangle. So you've got two people working towards something together, really helps them build a relationship. To work on a task together kind of helps form that bond. And like I mentioned, the development of the site happened because of what came out of virtual OMA, and then it was supported by Next 50 initiative out of Colorado, and then National Endowment for the Arts grant. Next page, please. So this is more of what it looks like. So again, you see a student and an older adult. There's a video, that's where they would video chat with each other. And then arts-based prompts. So the one pulled up here is tracing kitchen utensils. They're all low tech. They're, things you could, like I'm sitting here, okay, tracing kitchen utensils. Maybe I'm a student. I don't have kitchen utensils in my book bag while I'm at the library, but I can pull something out and kind of replicate this project with my partner. How to do it, of course, like the supplies you need and then the steps to do it. But then again, creating that relationship. So questions to connect. This is one of my favorite projects to kind of talk about, because tracing kitchen utensils, questions are going to go into cooking and where'd you learn to cook and how do you cook and what kind of foods do you like? And it always makes me think of my grandmothers. My great grandmother who lived to 104, and then my grandmother who lived to 96. I very much like kitchen and cooking is all attributed to them. So a project like this would instantly get me talking about how we always had a pot of gravy on the stove. Of course, if you know anything about Italians, that's not the brown stuff, it's the red stuff. And now you're learning so much more about me. You kind of have follow-up questions. You want to know what went in the sauce, or what else did they make? And do I make that sauce today? And then of course, I'm going to ask questions back and forth. So we're getting past the, oh, like, hi, I'm Krista. This is what I do for work. And I like to garden and I've got kids. We're getting more into who we are as people, building a stronger bond with each other. Next slide, please. Sometimes I will show you the page, but I don't think we need to do that today. If you're interested, I will give you a deep dive on kind of what Avid looks like. But next slide, please. So to get started, anybody has to do is go to our page. It's avid.scriptsoma.org, and then there's a Get Started button. You click that and you have to create a profile because I need to know who you are. And then I also need to know kind of who I'm matching you with. So we match based off of two criteria: your availability, which is days of the week, morning, afternoon, evening, and that breaks off into even more times that you can select. And then generation. So it's meant to be an intergenerational program. So if you sign up as a silent gen participant, I'm going to probably be matching you down to millennial or Gen Z. So I need to know, again, your availability and the generation you identify with, so that I can put you with somebody non-adjacent to you. And then what you come into my back end, I'm kind of like the coordinator at the moment. So I'm doing this all manually. We are growing and developing and coming up with new tech, but pretty much when you sign up for Scripps Avid, I'm your kind of point of contact. And then I send you a match email. I say, congratulations, you've been matched. I give you your match's name, email, address, and the times that you both selected as far as your availability that are similar or the same. And then from there, it's just up to the older adult and the student to schedule their meetups. So typically we say it's great to keep it, if you said Tuesday mornings, keep it Tuesday mornings for multiple weeks, a minimum of 4, because we don't think you can make much of a relationship earlier than 4. But then we've had participants who have been going with the same match for over a year now. So we piloted last January 2023, and we've now run 3 semesters with it. And again, not just with students at Miami University, but local community as well. Next slide, please. These are just some example pictures. So I brought iPads into a long-term care community. So I'm based in Cleveland, Ohio. And then obviously Miami University is farther south. So students at Miami University were then paired with older adults in this nursing home, and then they were matched once a week. They would get on, I would bring the iPads, give everybody headphones, and we did it in a kind of a small community base. So in this picture, you see 3 in one room, and then I had another room with 5 residents that were connected at the same time. So every week, I think it was Tuesdays at 10 a.m., these 8 residents participated with 8 students down at Miami University. Yes, it does not have to be a student. I do apologize. I use that term student a lot. But what I mean by student and older adult is just 2 different generations. So it definitely doesn't have to be students specifically. Next slide, please. So this is just participation that we've had since we started, since our pilot last year. Let me see, I'm going to check what I have. So it's gone up. Oh, this one's current. I think the next chart that I'm going to show you is a little out of date, but we've had just over 266 participants with a total of, I think, 100 and let me see if I can find it. 153 matches since last year. So as you can see, Gen Z is mostly, again, our students, because that's where we're really heavily recruiting the younger adults for participation. And that's the generation that is currently at Miami University. And then our older generations, Baby Boomer and Silent Gen, we've actually been working with the Alumni Association at Miami University. So that's been really great too, to kind of recreate this community around Miami specifically. So depending where you are, connecting to a high school and their alumni, or alumni of wherever you are, or students that already come into wherever you are, just to kind of forge those bonds and make them even stronger. Millennial and Gen X are smaller. Again, millennials, I don't know the stats for volunteering, but they're kind of in the thick of it. They're past the college stage, so that's why we don't have a ton there. And then Gen X, they're always asking, well, who do I volunteer? Like, who am I matched with, younger or older? And so this is very much an area where we ask them, like, if you have a preference, would you rather speak to a Gen Z student, someone in university setting, high school perhaps, or would you like to go up to silent generation? We try to always go just one past, non-adjacent. So next slide, please. This one is our satisfaction. So at the end of every meetup, we ask just general feedback. Did you enjoy your time today? What did you do? Who's your match? Just kind of like, we want to hear a little bit about what happened during that hour. And so it's a little outdated, about 800 responses. We've got over 1,500 now. And it still remains the same though, very satisfied. So people are enjoying their time, getting to know somebody from a different generation, just having general conversation, and then sometimes participating in the arts. Our very dissatisfied and dissatisfied comes from either their match didn't show up, time zone changes is a big hurdle, or daylight savings, things like that, kind of like throw people off. So sometimes matches don't show up, and they will report that to me, or I get their feedback, and I immediately send an email like, is everything okay? Did you check in with your match to make sure, there wasn't a miscommunication, things like that. So we can fix that right away. The other thing does come from tech. Sometimes the difficulty connecting. We are using what's called Jitsi for our video platform. And in order to participate, you do have to have tech that's above a certain year. I'm technically the tech person for the team running Scripps Avid, but I really know very minimal. But we have had a few people not able to participate because their iPhone was too outdated, or their MacBook, things like that. But so far, that hasn't been a real hurdle, but that is something that we're considering in future. Maybe grant funding is tech devices, but then also Wi-Fi access. Next slide, please. Here, I just put out a few comments of what people are saying about their participation in Scripps Avid. So my match is a great person, and I'm grateful that we've got matched. She motivates me to do more and live a more full life. So that's from an older adult participant. Next slide, please. This one's from a student. Meeting with her has broken so many stereotypes I once thought about older people. I love moments like this for the students. I think I didn't give really a huge background on me, but I was a student at Miami University. I started as a volunteer in OMA, and fell in love kind of day one. I was a junior, ready to graduate, and this program just kind of fell into my lap after my grandmother had passed from Alzheimer's. And I had this switch of like, this is what I'm doing the rest of my life. So I had that growth of like, knowing where my grandmothers, like I had already mentioned, had like such an important part of my upbringing, but I never saw it into my future of what that could look like. Like, how do I care for older adults when I did it at home? So finding OMA or Scripps Avid is kind of opening the doors for students of, oh, like I was thinking like I wanted to be a doctor, that's kind of an easy one. And a lot of people will say, oh, I love kids. I'm going to work. I'm going to be a pediatrician. We're trying to, instill in them that there's a whole other population and generation of people that they can impact. Next slide, please. So this is a fun little moment that we had earlier this year. We were featured in the New York Times. So you can find this article. We have it posted on our website, but then from New York Times themselves, Old and Young Talking Again. So in these photos, you have Zach on the left, who is the student, and Rich on the right as the older adult. They were an early match. Zach signed up because he was going to receive extra credit for participating in this program. And Rich is an old friend of the OMA team. And they were matched together because of their availability and differences in generations. And they are still, I would consider them best friends today. So they still talk weekly. Again, they signed up. They started about last February, March. Zach needed 8 hours of time on Scripps Avid with this older adult, but it didn't stop there. They have really, we call them Avid champions now. Zach makes presentations to the students at school, tries to get more people involved in Avid. Rich is kind of a champion within the community, so he goes to the senior center and different places to kind of promote Scripps Avid for the older generation as well. A big thing that they talk about is there's no kind of hold to each other. There's no expectations as far as like Rich talks about his sons. Like you expect certain conversations to come out of that from a familiar relationship. Whereas Zach and Rich, they don't have that hold on each other. They're just learning more about each other. They also love to talk about their difference in religion. So Zach is Muslim and Rich is Catholic. And so they've found a lot of commonalities and a lot of growth between the two of them because of their differences in religion and age. Next slide, please. Oh, I must have, let's see. I have a few slides in mind that I'll just kind of talk through. So
You want to share your screen, Krista?
Oh, I can do that. Yeah.
That would be totally fine.
Sorry about that, guys.
Nope.
Let me see. Okay, I'll skip the example for now, but some considerations. So what I'm looking for, or the programming, we need both older and younger adults. Availability does change. So both sides have to be a little bit flexible, especially if there's an expectation of, like 8 hours for a student to participate. We are looking for partner organizations. We're looking for more people to use the site. It is very much, I say it's a living and breathing site. So you logged in yesterday and had a conversation with your match. You might log in today and it looks different. There might be a different feedback question, or we might be updating something. So we're constantly trying to make it better. And so the more people that use it, the more feedback we get, the more we can make sure that it adapts for the better. Like mentioned earlier, internet access and software updates. And then we're looking to evaluate different purposes or uses of Avid. So like those photos showed, using it in a long-term care community, people living with dementia. So we do say that it's dementia friendly. This has caused quite a stir. One, we want to make sure that it is dementia friendly. So we need more people with dementia using the site. But then also it hinders a lot of people from wanting to sign up. Like I mentioned, we recruit from the Alumni Association pretty heavily at Miami University. And a lot of alumni will send me an email. How dare you think that I have dementia just because I'm an alumni or because I'm a certain age bracket? And we're definitely not trying to say that anybody has dementia. So there's, that's the stigma around the word still that we're sorting out or trying to figure out what's the best step forward there. Opportunities for community outreach. So we are making activity cards so that you could do the activities just in person, sitting with somebody. Training for professionals to be able to bring Avid wherever their community is, but then enhanced user training. So making sure that the students and the older adults understand how to use the platform, but also how to engage appropriately with each other. We would like to expand into more long-term care. These two pictures, these are storks during the eclipse. One was created by an older adult in the Miami tribe, and then the other is a student in the Miami tribe as well, who is at Miami University. And so they both did an art project together, using the eclipse and the stork as kind of their inspiration. And so we are working with the Miami Center on campus at Miami University to further create connections through the tribe. And then evaluating impacts for rural and more isolated communities as well. So again, just if you're interested, you're like, I have people, we can do this. It is completely free to use. Investment may include tablets or computers. Additional support for residents. So again, me going into the long-term care community with the 8 residents living with, or 8 people living with dementia. I was there troubleshooting, getting them on, making sure they had the headphones and the volume and all of that. So there definitely needs to be some sort of facilitator in a sense running through, just making sure that tech is working and they're set up productively. We do need both younger and older volunteers. So if you're thinking, oh, I've got a whole wing of people that would be ready to participate as older adults, I would most likely be looking for us to partner together to also find a group of young students. I have Miami University students, but I call it my chicken or the egg battle of too many students, too many older adults, and how do I level out every year or every semester? So I'd love to have conversations with any of you if you're interested in how we can recruit kind of both sides together. I would show you the orientation and training, and then a first meetup. You could kind of just like dive in. I will say, if you want to do this within a community of people, again, like the nursing home in Cleveland, they don't need to individually sign up each resident. I can collectively do that. So don't feel like you have to go in and create an account for 15 people. Emailing me is kind of your best bet there, and we can figure out the best next step forward. I think that's it. Yep. So that's my direct Miami email, the FALASCKM@miamioh.edu. This is the Scripps OMA website, and then the avid.scripsoma.org is the Avid website for kind of more information and getting started, things like that. I will say I didn't cover any of the research with OMA, but we have, I think, 13 published articles on OMA. So if you're interested in the research side of things, you'd want to check out the Scripps OMA page.
Wonderful. There's just a few questions in the chat. So one was like, what department at the university might be a good partner? Arts, education, communication, any advice on that?
That's a great question. Really, it's anybody. So at Miami, we have a gerontology program. So it is a GTY class, but because it's service learning, we have students from all over the university signing up to participate with us. Med school or a med school track, a lot of them have somewhat of like volunteer requirements or service learning. If you have a connection at a school, I would start there. There's a huge uptick of service learning, but intergenerational kind of being not pushed, but like enhanced or desired for students to experience. So start with who you know. And if it's just kind of reaching out to someone random, pick a field that you like and, can kind of start a conversation there. I personally love cold calling people to tell them like, oh, I've got this free thing, like, let's do it together. And if you're not like that, that's okay. I'd be more than happy to help kind of build connections or communities.
Great.
Do older adults have to have a, so with AVID, no, there is no dementia. Even with OMA, OMA came more, it was started for the mid to late stage, the people who disengage more often, who you find sitting back in their wheelchairs or asleep in a Broda chair. OMA can really just create some magical moments for those people, but by no means are we limited to mid to late stage, early, anything of that sort. So like I mentioned, the D in AVID is dementia friendly, but we're having some confusion around that. So that might be changing for that purpose. So anybody can participate in Scripps AVID. It can be a single person, like if, any of you are just like, oh, I'd love to talk to somebody from a different generation, you're more than welcome to sign up. I actually have one Wright State student who is in med school and he wants to use Scripps AVID as some volunteer time and he's looking for a match. So if anyone's interested, let me know. Is there a sustainability plan for when the grant funds are gone and will it be continued to be free? Great question. Yes, we're constantly, so OMA and AVID, we are a majority grant funded organization. We are run out of the university, like that's our home, but we are not funded by the university. So we are always looking for opportunities for grants and then commercialization. So I can't promise that it will continue to always be free. That is our goal. And especially at a local level, we would find funding to be able to make it free for like certain pockets of populations. But eventually we're hoping some form of commercialization just to help with the funding resources.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Krista. This was great. And there's a ton of really great comments in the chat. So I'll read through those. Any other questions, you can put those in the chat and we can follow up with Krista. Otherwise, we are going to turn it over to Kate Gillen from the ADRC of Portage County, who is going to talk a little bit about her senior prom. So Kate, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, hi everybody. Says I'm unmuted. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. All right. So my name's Kate Giblin. I work with the Aging and Disability Resource Center of Portage County. I am a senior center manager here. We're one of only a handful of ADRCs that have a funded senior center as part of them. I also am active member of the Wisconsin Association of Senior Centers, and I see some of my colleagues on the call. It's really good to see you guys. The senior prom is something that I have wanted to do since before I got this job as a senior center manager. I really thought it would be fun, but I really needed the right partner. And so it turned out that our local YMCA, the Stevens Point area YMCA, is focusing, as all YMCAs, on senior activities outside of just Silver Sneakers. And it is something she had wanted to do for a really long time. So we came together, and I think it was just kind of that magical moment of partnership that made something really, really special that I want to share with you guys today. Next slide, please. So we sat down, and first of all, my apologies. I threw this slideshow together so fast. We came together and made a plan to have a prom, and we really wanted this to be something that was really fun and cool and offbeat, and not, something that might be, perceived as kind of silly by older adults. And so we roped in several advocates from our groups. Both Silver Sneakers are here at my senior center, and got them engaged. And this really took off as kind of word of mouth. The YMCA found a bunch of stuff, and I found a bunch of stuff, and it just kind of came together. And we weren't sure what would happen, we had a goal of like 75 people that we wanted to attend. We really wanted to make it something fun, something that evoked memories of our original proms. So obviously the YMCA has a gymnasium, so we thought that'd be a really good venue to have a prom. It smells right, the decorations were right. It all kind of came together. We started marketing really, really early. I'm going to talk about some of what we did to make this work. This picture shows our volunteer DJ. They donate their time. It's called DJ Buffet, the Patterson family. And they put together music for generations. And then you can see my volunteers kind of shuffling in along with the YMCA volunteers and volunteers for a nutrition program. And it just really became this really cool effort between a bunch of groups. Next slide, please. Yeah. This is me, Christy Rodenhagen from the YMCA, and our nutrition dining site manager who runs all of our pop-ups, Lisa Bay. Next slide, please. Oh, there it is. Okay. Where'd the rest of it go? I forgot to put an effect in. So this is kind of the breakdown of how the partnership worked. So the ADRC program staff and volunteers, we provided dinner through our nutrition program as a dining site pop-up. So we worked with our nutrition director and our kitchen staff and our dining site manager, Lisa, to plan the menu and make sure we coordinated everything, got everything cooked and moved over. We had this in the evening, so we served dinner, which is not something we normally do in our nutrition program. Here in Portage County, they may do it in other places. So it involved a lot of adjusting of schedules and getting everything over there. We also help with marketing. We put everything in our newsletter really early. Like we have a newsletter that goes out every 2 months, and we put it in like 4 months ahead so that it sat in there for a while. People could talk about it, people could see it. And we're finding that, 4 months is probably better than what we were doing, which was like a 2-month lead on our marketing. We handled registration because of the unique needs of our nutrition program, needing to have paperwork filled out and everything we need for GUAR. So we handled that. And we provided all of the volunteers for the meal, and then the volunteers for decorating along with the Y. The Y obviously provided us with an amazing event space, all the parking we could need, accessibility, staff to help set up, take down all those tables, clean up afterwards. They did an amazing job with marketing within their groups, their newsletters, their Facebook, their class leaders. They provided decorations, including what you see here, which was a photo booth for prom, and the seniors just loved it. They recruited the DJ, and then they did man the photo booth. We also had a lot of help from other partners, and I feel like nobody can do something like this alone. So our RSVP program helped us recruit volunteers and marketed the event. The Patterson family donated their time to have the show and the light show and all the music planned out. CAP Services here in town, their mental health navigator came and helped us with decorating, and she stayed through the whole thing and ran around just like the rest of us. And then we had some students from our Mid-State Technical College's Wellness Promotion Program helping as well. So next slide. So this is the photo booth. The first picture is actually our CEO for YMCA, and he had an absolute blast running around trying to get the air conditioning working because it got really hot in the gym. And then the other one is one of our guests, and I apologize for the quality of the pictures. I was kind of throwing this all together. I had a caregiving responsibilities come up a bit unexpectedly recently. So next slide, please. This is a picture of our nutrition staff. Jeannie's our cook, and then another staff member and her husband were helping. He was voluntold to come and help, but he always does. So they made the food here at our sustainable kitchen here at the ADRC. The menu was chicken cordon bleu with mixed vegetables, red potatoes, a spinach salad, milk, and punch cake. It transported really well, and everybody loved it. So it was a hit. It was kind of that nicer meal. And I hope it was not as complicated as some other meals to make. All right, next slide. So this is the crowd. We sold out. We counted how many chairs we had, and we're like, okay, that's how many people we can have. So our meal count was 125. We're planning our next event, and we're looking for more chairs so that we can have more people, because we sold out about 3 weeks before the event. And then we sold when I say sold, by the way, this was free because it was our nutrition program. People were obviously asked if they wanted to or could contribute $5. The DJ was free, the gym was free. So if you didn't have to pay anything, but we did have tickets. And after we sold out the tickets for meals, we had another 25 sign up after that. And people took it very seriously. You can see there's some tuxedos, and it was everything from tuxedos to jeans, but it was really fun. Next slide, please. We decided to do a prom king and queen, which was hugely popular. If you choose to do a prom, our selection method was, they were the first couple. She actually works at the YMCA. I remember her from when my daughter was in daycare at the YMCA, and she and her husband didn't get to go to prom together. And I think a lot of people experience that. Their long-term partner may not be who they went to prom with, or they didn't get to go to prom because they were working or military service for whatever reason. So this was really fun. So that's our prom king and queen. Next slide, please. And I think click it again because thank you. This event would, if it had just been the marketing that Christy from the Y and I did, it wouldn't have been as popular as just straight up word of mouth. So we had the silver sneakers teachers. One of the silver sneakers teachers over the Y has a class with like 70, 80 people in it. They fill the whole gym. She told everybody to come. I have Tai Chi instructors here who have classes almost that big, but certainly not in the 70s. And so a lot of people did recruiting and, hey, I'm going, you're going, let's go. A lot of people helped people get there with rides. That was one little stumble because we had it from 5 to 8 and our transportation system doesn't go that far. So we have to kind of find a way to help more people get there, because there were more people who wanted to go who didn't feel like they could get a ride, but a lot of them we were able to pair up with other seniors for rides. So it really had to be cool, and it had to be something that seniors wanted to do. And I think pairing up with the Y made it it made it more accessible for a lot of people. Because in our community, we have, people who love to come to the senior center, and people are like, oh, I don't really know the senior center. There's people who really love going to the Y. So this brought everyone together, and it was kind of fun to see the crossover and for people to see, oh, wait a second, you go to the senior center, oh my gosh, this is at the Y. So it really helped for both of our organizations to have that opportunity. Next slide, please. Just a few more pictures. The biggest comment we got was, when are you doing this again? So I'm sorry, the guy with the blue leisure suit was like my hero. We are doing it again. We picked a date in November. We're going to have a harvest hop based on a sock hop, and we have a feeling it's going to be very crowded. So this was really, really a wonderful event, and a lot of people smiled. It gave a lot of people an opportunity to get out and see each other, see people they haven't seen in a very long time in their cohort. It was really kind of magical. Last slide. Okay, so there's our total numbers. We had I lied, it was 127 for dinner, 25 more for the dance. I've included on the slide my contact information. Christy from the YMCA's, and then Lisa Bay, who's our pop-up dining site manager here. And this is, I think they were getting ready for the YMCA dance here. So it was really good. I encourage you, this really needs multiple partners, but it was wildly popular, and it's created an opportunity and an enthusiasm for more parties. And lastly, I would say parties need food. So it's really good to partner. And if you partner with nutrition programs like ours, you can keep that cost for people over 60 really, really low. So that's it. Any questions?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kate. That sounds like a really fun event and a great idea for other communities.
Yeah, my feet still hurt.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, just give a minute. If anybody has any questions, you can enter those in the chat. Did you give any awards for best outfit?
No, but next time I absolutely will.
It looks like there was quite a few that had
There
some really fun outfits.
There were some amazing outfits.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So I think next time it was like the prom king and queen was like something we just were like, wait, we forgot about this, and did it like in the last couple of days. But I think next time we absolutely will. So
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay.
Great. Well, I don't see any questions in the chat, but if anybody has any questions afterwards, Kate has provided her contact information, so we can.
Oh, there is a last question I see. Helen, absolutely. In the first slide, way in the beginning, there is a walker. We had people in wheelchairs who came. We had people in walkers who came. We had people with canes who came. I was actually kind of amazed. One of the women with canes is so good that she was out there just cutting the rug and using the cane like as a balance. And I was like, I didn't even know you could dance like that with a cane. She was really good. But yes, lots of people with different mobility levels, and that was really fun. The only thing we had is we had like a ton of people who had like long-term like ballroom dance lessons who came. And some of the people were kind of like a little bit intimidated. They're like, well, I'm not that good. I'm not going to dance. So we're probably going to try to figure out a way to make sure that the beginning of the dance, is a little bit more like music that anyone can dance to. But I think overall, it was, people loved watching some of the people with more skill. And then there were people out there who were amazing me with their dancing skills with walkers and canes and wheelchairs. But yeah, we had actually a good portion of people with mobility devices.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so we're going to get into our coalition updates section. So the first thing, I'm just going to give you a brief kind of glance through our new website. So connectwi.org is the live website for the Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection. And you should be able to see that on your screen here now. This page is designed for people to come to find information about like what social isolation, loneliness, and social connection is. You can find some different statistics, take an evaluation, and then provides resources. The site is broken up similarly to the Falls Free Wisconsin page, where there's connection resources, which are really meant for the public. So these are like the Connection with Others page. This provides some information or ideas, like how could you make connections within your community to help reduce that loneliness. So different ideas here. Some of these include links for different ideas, like take a health promotion class. You could find a class that's WI Healthy Aging. There's a few other links in there, but overall it's just ideas. And then the drop down here is really connection resources intended for older adults and people with disabilities. So how they could make connections. So there's some different items there. Again, these are the public facing resources. And then there's also our for professionals drop down. So this is really intended for those working with community members and how they can make some strides or increase awareness and connection. We have one page, which is our data and research page, and this is really to provide you with information and data about loneliness and isolation. So there's different links to articles and different publications here that you can browse through to find that data. Awareness resources are really to increase the awareness of the problem of social isolation and loneliness within your community. So different things within here, promoting the awareness of the coalition and of the problem of loneliness and isolation. These are all like social media graphics that you could download and share on your Facebook site or other social media sites. There's different press releases that you could share with local newspapers. There's toolkits overall that you could download and kind of walk through different ideas from there. And then there's Awareness Week resources specifically. So there is the Global Loneliness Awareness Week, which just concluded. So that was June 10th through 16th. And then we will also be posting information about Loneliness Awareness Week here in Wisconsin, which is in November. So this is where you would come to look for those resources as well. And then we have connection resources. So this is really how would you go about making those connections within your community to help reduce loneliness and social isolation. So these are kind of divvied up by local Wisconsin resources. So specific to Wisconsin, what resources do we have? Then there's national resources. The Network of Champions is a big one that links other resources individually. Then we have different screening tools linked here if you're looking at screening for loneliness or isolation. The Wisconsin Coalition for Social Connection Screening Pilot is linked here. And then we just have a brief screenshot. So Commit to Connect has this innovations hub, and you can filter through this. This is just what a screenshot of it looks like, but it lists a ton of different interventions or ideas to help reduce loneliness and isolation. You could go onto their site and kind of filter through the population you're looking at, or what organization type, or who the partners are that would be involved to kind of see what might be a good fit for you. And so that would, you could just click on this or on the Innovations Hub there. At the bottom here, we have some different local examples of what people are doing to increase social connection or decrease loneliness. So Kate's idea would be a great one to include here. You can submit your project if you have one, and then we'll feature it on this page as well. And then the other thing's a newsletter. So you all probably get our newsletter already, but if you missed it or you want to encourage somebody else to sign up, this is the place to go to view past newsletter resources and then also to sign up for the newsletter for professionals as well. And then there's different coalition resources. So this is where we have our calendar of events. If you're looking to join the network, that's what we are here today. You can click that button there. And then to view the past presentations. So today's presentation will be linked here as well. You can just come down to this drop down, and then there's coalition resources in terms of our the meeting minutes as well as the work plan. So if you're interested in seeing what the coalition is up to specifically, you can always come down to there. And then just our overall about page to get a little bit more information about the coalition. And if you or anyone else is interested in joining, even just for the newsletter article, you can come to our join page, join the newsletter, or if you're interested in joining the coalition as an individual or a membership, that's where you would do that. So just a brief overview of the website. We encourage you to kind of poke around through there and then share it with others as well. Other updates for you. So there is just a reminder to join the nationwide network of champions. And that there's a QR code and a link here. So you'll get those slides after the meeting today. And then here's a QR code for the website individually. If you haven't already followed us on Facebook, the Connect Wisconsin, you be sure to do that. And then our 2024 meetings are always the third Tuesday of every other month. So our next meeting will be August 20th. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Suzanne. She wasn't able to be here with us today, but she will be here in the future. And you can reach out to her at the Connect Wisconsin or Connect WI at wihealthyaging.org site. Any last questions? Well, thank you all for joining us today. It looks like we're going to finish up right on time. We had great presentations today, so we thank both of our speakers. and we will be getting the recording and slides from Suzanne after. Thanks, everyone. Take care.